Whiplash!
Battle Armor He-Man and Skeletor, Whiplash and Buzz-Off each sold separately.
And I, He-Man, have a powerful winged warrior named Buzz-Off! So it's the super stinger Buzz-Off! Against the vicious tail of Whiplash! Ha-ha! Now, may the mightiest warrior win!
Buzz-Off and Whiplash figures from the Masters of the Universe collection. Other action figures also sold separately from Mattel.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Master Powercast. The subject for tonight is Whiplash, our evil tail-thrashing warrior, coming out in Wave 3, 1984, along the likes of Clawful, Buzz-Off, Webstore, and Cobra Khan. We'll start to dive on in, get to the concept stuff, take you through the mini-comics, take you through the appearance, well, a photo from the appearances in the UK, talk about some filmation. But before we start going through all of that, Tyler, why Whiplash tonight?
I always kind of look at him as like the almost like the biggest of the evil warriors, even though I guess like next to everybody he's not necessarily not, but I've always kind of seen him as like the big brute of the group, you know, like everyone else is kind of like they're various in size and scale, but I just kind of looked at him as like he's like the most dominating, like most physically imposing, you know, you could say. And I think that's mainly because of my impression of him when I saw him in Clash of Arms, you know, when I was real little. But much like a lot of characters in He-Man, only a few are always recognized over and over and over again. And Whiplash is another one of those that, you know, I don't think he's as like, certainly not like looked upon like Rio Blast and Snout Spout and, you know, maybe Blast Attack, but, you know, he's not up there with like Trap Jaw and Merman and Beastman. It's like constantly over and over again.
That's fair. I would be one to toss in there that I feel like Whiplash is kind of under everybody in terms of recognition, a good portion of them.
Yeah, which you could say for a lot of people, which is why I feel like the fandom seems so limited or at least in terms of merchandise and when people do fan art or you know, creations and stuff, it's always like the same characters over and over again. It's like, is that all you remember? Is that all you had as a kid? It was just a handful of the same 3-4 characters, and it's like saying you love Star Wars, but you only like Luke Skywalker. Like, well, what about Lando? What about, you know, various other kick-ass characters? Like, no, it just begins and ends with Luke and Vader. Like, no, there's more to it than that. You know, like you just want to limp. That's why I love doing this so much, because it's more about pushing the boundaries of like, you have such a vast array of heroes and villains. Like, why do people just want to continue to just focus on the same 3 heroes and the same 3 villains and shit on Orko and rinse and repeat over and over and over again? You know?
Yeah, I kind of understand that. And I think that when you really start to think about it, a lot of these properties go through the similar things.
I mean, it could be said, you know, for Transformers, G.I. Joe, Turtles.
Well, I mean, I go to think, because I talked last week a little bit about it, and I'll probably talk some more about it once we're done discussing Whiplash, but GoBot suffers from the same thing. You have your 3 main Guardians, your 3 main Renegades. Yes, there will be episodes where periodically you're going to get a couple other bots on either faction, but for the most,
your Vamp in one episode, or a Smallfoot, or Pathfinder,
but for the most part, we're focusing just mainly, those are the main 6.
Yeah.
So, and I could see being a kid, some kids have probably just had those and that was it, and don't kind of see past that. And I totally understand that, because there's not much like Whiplash. When you start to think about all these other characters outside of that, they don't get as much recognition or love as they should.
That's why I have to wonder about the fan mentality. Like, why, if you're a fan of this property, whether it's Transformers, GoBot, Star Wars, Turtles, Ghostbusters, like, why do you just want to focus on a finite group of characters? Like, when you learn that there were more characters made, more heroes, more villains, more places, more vehicles, like, why wouldn't you want to explore and look at all these great these great visuals, these well concepted characters, and not want to know more about them or where they come from or what their part is in the mythology. You know, but I have to look at the Star Wars fan base, because they look at every single minute character. And you think about the popularity of Boba Fett, just someone that just people just thought looked great visually and was not thought of as nothing more than just a generic bounty hunter and killed off in the Starlight Pit, and that is it. But people thought he was so visually striking, along with Bosk, Dengar, Forlom, IG-88, all those cool bounty hunters that show up in one shot. And people are so fixated because I want to know more about them. And that's how I view He-Man and the Master of the Universe. Like, who is that guy? I want to know more about him. And I just kind of feel like it's insulting when people don't want to
learn more about
or celebrate more of the villains, more of the heroes, and just feel like it's just He-Man, Man-At-Arms, and Teela, Skeletor, Evelyn, and Beastman, and that's it. It just seems so like you're not doing yourself any fan service. I feel like, when I say fan service, I don't mean like what Netflix did to He-Man, where they just here you go, or like that how they do today, as opposed to no, there's some great interpretations of these characters that you're missing out on,
And that's the biggest reason, as you were saying earlier, why we do these character spotlights, is to show you more about this character and hopefully get you excited about him, and you want to go and seek out the appearances that you may have missed. But Tyler, let's go ahead, dive on in here. I should have already had this up to switch to a little bit earlier. So starting off, we get our concept art, which strangely enough, so this was designed Colin Bailey, July of '82. You've probably read the article on Battle Ram blog, but do you know exactly what the name of this was?
Lizard Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found that very, very interesting. So they kind of kept the Lizard Man name for a stretch until they trademarked Whiplash. So it's nice to see we have this name Lizard Man, but hey, let's revisit this and try to repurpose this. And inevitably they do, and you get the character of Lizard Man showing up in Filmation, and eventually we get a Classics figure and everything. But I thought that was, I mean, you look at this here and you're like, yeah, Lizard Man checks for a name for this concept.
Absolutely. And it's a great looking concept. It looks like a villain, looks like someone would definitely be hanging around Snake Mountain. And which I'm sure you'll probably pop up here in a moment, that color scheme. And James has pointed out in his video on the Whiplash Lizardman connection on his channel. But if you're not familiar with that, pay attention to this color scheme, to our listeners and watchers. This color scheme will pop up again, and here we are right now with Whiplash showing up in the Clash of Arms with that exact same that color scheme that you saw with the concept of Lizard Man.
Yeah. So, and you would kind of see some of this stuff a lot in taking, this is all we have, this is what you have to go by, go ahead and use that. And we will come back around to Clash of Arms here momentarily, but you kind of get another look at it here from this panel. And then we go into now this aspect of it when we're showing off the vintage prototype. The staff here is going to go through some changes. So it starts off being purple. We have him displayed here with a sword. So that's kind of interesting. And then I thought this was the most interesting of all. This is Mattel Catalog 84, Heroic Ally with Whipping Tail. So at some point they were thinking, oh, we're going to make him a heroic warrior.
Which almost sounds, because of that almost like, not that it was ever planned, but when MYP decides to bring in the Caligars, the race that Whiplash is from, it's almost like this is almost like a precursor idea. That you're like, Whiplash is a good guy. Well, if you watched MYP and you've seen the Caligars, like this is what that would look like.
Yeah. So
it's not hard to picture. If you look at it that way, because much like seeing Stratus was going to be a bad guy, Merman was going to be a good guy. Like, Like
Yeah.
that's kind of where they were thinking. And boy, how that would have looked with Buzz-Off, Mechaneck, Fisto, and Whiplash being the new Heroic Warriors, and Jitsu, Cobra Khan, Webstore, and Clawful being, so you had 4 and 4, of 4 new Heroic Warriors and 4 new Evil Warriors. But it's at this point it's so hard to picture. Like, man, like,
I mean, you look at him here; he does not look like a good guy.
No, not at all. And it would have been, just thinking about that, would have been fun trying to visualize how that may have been depicted, how he would have been depicted in the mini comics, how he would have been depicted in Filmation, brought in as a hero, as an ally, someone that would be right here. Would he be illustrated teaming up with Buzz-Off? Because like in the commercial, when they're introduced, they're fighting each other. But would you have seen Whiplash and Buzz-Off, 2 animal-based characters, being allies on the Heroic Wars, and maybe putting Mechaneck and Fisto together as allies? It's an interesting, concept. And I had this coloring book.
Yeah.
So I remember picking this up, I think, at a Rite Aid back in they're probably 89, I think.
Yeah. So take note of that. We have a purple staff here.
Yeah.
With this prototype, we have the sword for these couple of entries into catalog stuff. Purple staff here again on the cover of this coloring book, and then all of a sudden it changes from purple to orange.
Yeah.
So we have the
beautiful cross. That really does him justice there. He looks very imposing.
I guess with his facial expression here sort of being a little, he looks way more menacing. Right?
Yeah, right there. There's more of a scowl. Right
here
there,
we could get
it's
more
almost like a blank face.
Here, with this, maybe he could be a heroic warrior.
Right there. I will agree with you on that. Right there, he could be more. He could pass more for a heroic warrior right there, because his face is not. It does. And right there, he looks more like an evil warrior.
Yeah. So this is what we get in the final product, and now it's orange. So just these little minor touches that they would make along the way of just does purple, would orange work better? So, and obviously we don't know as much in terms of what they go through in that process, especially back then, but just looking at it there had to be lots of people within that and like, nah, let's switch it to this instead.
Yeah, for a color scheme that's pretty dominated in green with a touch of orange, I guess it is like that touch of orange looks really good on him. Let's give him an orange staff.
Yeah.
Because purple, even though you see it, it's not as, it doesn't feel like it interferes with the color scheme of Whiplash, but the orange, which even so, like that weapon just doesn't fit that character in general. Like, I feel like, his tail is his weapon. It almost kind of seems redundant for him to have a physical weapon for him to be in hand-to-hand combat with, because he is a weapon. His tail is his weapon. So it just kind of seems like it's almost as if, like, when you give Clawful a mace, like it's had I had him as a kid, I don't think I would have used the mace that much.
I think it was just one of those things, and we have to pack in a weapon.
And I get that, but it feels like Whiplash feels like someone who would use a bigger and more imposing object, like a big axe.
Yeah.
Like a big staff axe or something like that. A spear just seems like it's not as threatening on a character as imposing as he is. That just looks like you would not put a spear with a character who looks that, like, this guy's a brutish guy, and a spear just seems such a small level weapon for him, I feel like. Yeah.
Well, the design that we have here for our final toy kind of has a lot of similarities to something else that Mattel put out. This is Crusher. So you can kind of see, you look at it, it's like, yeah, that makes sense with the tail and everything back there. This is actually really
orange color break.
Yeah. So 14 inches tall this guy is. I have never seen this.
I haven't either, but he looks fun and
it looks
cool.
Yeah. Here's some more shots of him here, just to show off, especially like the tail. So I can see them. It's like you would see that a lot with, you think of like the big Big Jim stuff and repurposing some of that to put in line. Obviously, Mattel's looking at something like this. Let's kind of
take some ideas from this here.
Yeah, make some adjustments. And here we have on the card, little bubble, a little yellowed here, but there you go.
Mine's the same way.
Secret Liquid of Life mini comic.
Yeah, I don't understand why, especially when, when the second wave comes out, everyone that comes with the mini comic, that mini comic focuses on that character. So that's why it never made a lot of sense, even though we got some wonderful mini comics in that year. Why they were not. I guess that's why Clash of Arms seems like such a big one, because you get a showcase for so much of the 84 wave all show up in that one mini comic, from Evelyn to Fisto to Clawful to Webster to Jitsu, and Stride all show up in that one mini comic, and then the others are just kind of like Cobra Khan gets a brief appearance in Double-Edged Sword. That was packed with him, but he's not it's not a showcase for that character. It's kind of interesting why whatever it was, the stories that were written that year were not really, the figure was not the point of the story or trying to work him in. Even that, it was, we have this idea, we're right to come up with these stories with Slave City and Double-Edged Sword and Geldor, the Secret Liquid of Life, which makes them fascinating. But I would love to know why the characters were not more of a focal point. Like, we're going to pack Whiplash with this mini comic that he's not featured in. If this was like your first figure of that wave, you got it for your birthday or something like that, and you're up to that point, you're used to the character you get is being showcased. He's not even mentioned, let alone having a big moment fighting He-Man.
Yeah, you think they would have kind of kept that going?
Because it continues on throughout the rest of the line. Multibot comes with the Multibot comic. Modulot comes with the Modulot comic. Montana comes with a shitty comic book, but he's kind of in it.
Yeah.
It's because they would do that with the Secret Search for Keldor. We're going to pack in a bunch of characters in one comic, and then the others will kind of split between two and then give one to another, that kind of thing. So,
but don't you at home worry about that, because once we're done going through Whiplash's history, we'll course correct that a little bit. But here is the back of the card, which
he looks great. He-Man's illustration is the one that looks bad.
Yeah.
It almost looks like he has like the fright feature from Ghostbusters. Like, you squeeze the arms and it's like,
Yeah.
It's just like, that doesn't work on the most powerful man in the universe.
Yeah.
It should have been a pose where he's leaning back or actually being knocked by the tail. To showcase that this character could knock He-Man on his ass. Like, that's what you should have done.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't like to question, a legend like Errol McCarthy, but, I'm like, it would have been nice to have seen He-Man feel more threatened as opposed to, a mild shock.
You twist his waist, his tail whips around.
Yeah. I still have my original Whiplash from Christmas of '87 on display.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah, man, just to see all that beautiful cross-cell artwork on the back, dude, and just the
multitude
of
characters
for all the characters. Oh, I want him. I want him. Oh, it's just this is now. He-Man looks a lot better here. Whiplash does not look.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
dude?
I'm not sure what's going on there.
I understand it, because when you look at the figure, sure,
he's got like a big thick neck.
Yeah, the side profile of that could look like this, but it just I wouldn't have gone with that at all.
No. I mean, granted, had I had that on a T-shirt as a kid, I would have worn it proudly and not thought anything of it. But
if you can take this He-Man and put him right here, then it would be perfect.
Yes, I agree.
Someone should do that and color it and put it on a T-shirt. I don't know who. Someone do it.
Yeah, I'll buy it. I will get you that $3 that you get off TeePublic, and this is another one that doesn't do Whiplash any service.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
If
anything, you could have had the fist hitting the tail that's whipping around, and just have like a big blam moment there. So, but yeah, we've talked about this before. It's just like, oh man, he's like, it looks like he's farting.
Yeah,
a little bit. And yeah, just
and he's beefing big there.
Yeah, and here's the black and white version of the back of the card art that we got. So yeah, someone take that He-Man and Photoshop him in right there.
Yeah.
Or just take this Whiplash and put it on this.
Yeah, or yeah, make it work somehow there.
Yeah, somehow, some way.
Yeah, because I see, and I would love to know why the morons at Mattel do not look at these awesome classic designs and not play off the nostalgia and say, you know what, let's
put them on
make
shirts.
T-shirts.
Yep.
And I feel like this just wasted opportunity.
Make adult pajamas. Tyler would wear them.
Possibly.
Yeah, you get too hot wearing pajamas.
I would wear a thermal shirt with that printed on there, like I had, thermal pajamas with Thunder Punch He-Man and Cyclone.
Make ringer tees of all this stuff.
Ringer tees. I actually found my He-Man and the Power Sword mini comic ringer tee that I got a Hot Topic that you were with me when I bought.
Oh man, all like fucking 20, almost 25 years ago.
Yeah, but I tried. Oh my god, maybe I could wear this thing. Like, fuck, no, I couldn't wear it.
Yeah, just more stuff like this. You have all those designs. Hell, I got a good chunk of them on my computer. Like, someone do something with this stuff.
Well, you know what? Help you got on your computer, man. I'll pay you if you just upload them there. Now, this is a cool 3-pack.
Yeah.
So I never had the opportunity to see any of these multi-packs outside the Jitsu Night Stalker one. So when I learned that there were so many multi-packs, like 3-packs and 2-packs of characters, like, oh, this has been so. I mean, there's no mini comic, unfortunately. But
well, yeah, but you're getting 3 action figures.
You get 3 action figures, and I would have loved to know what the retail price was on a lot of these, because I don't.
Yeah, this one.
Don't think a lot of the ones I've seen had price tags on the pictures.
I mean, if I would have to venture to, at what point are these 3-packs coming out very much in the time period where everything's booming, or is this kind of more of their way of trying to get a good deal on 3 figures in one go? Like
I've often figured, because I look at some of these, like the other, like this one right here, you've got 2 of the 84 wave and a brand new one for 85. So I always take it as like these 3-packs came out in 85. Like, because you got one with what's that?
I was gonna say a slight discount. It would have to be, maybe.
I don't know if it had been something at a discount, because I just figured it's a way of like.
I'm not saying buy a lot, but maybe just a couple dollars. Leave us a comment down below if you bought any of these 3-packs, and let us know if you can remember how much you paid for them. I mean, it could have very, very well much been retail price of what you would normally get if you bought them.
Back to the standard He-Man figure. If I'm like, here's Prince Adam was $4.99 at Evans department store. So that's why I figured most of the ones were around $5. There's a Man at Arms up there. I think he was like $5.99. So I imagine if you got a 3-pack at a Hills or Rose or Kmart, you're probably paying
$14.99,
$10, like $5, and you maybe get one for free. But they don't. You think that would be on the packaging? 2 figures for the price, or 3 figures for the price of 2.
So that leads me to believe it's probably anywhere from $12.99 to $15.99. But if you bought any of these, let us know down below. So in addition to obviously being single carded, we get this 3-pack here, and then there's also a JCPenney 2-pack with Cobra Khan.
Yeah, which that's a cool 2-pack. Like these 2 reptilian, villains coming in a collection together like that. Yeah, I think that's a great pairing.
Do these pop up on eBay often? I would assume probably not.
No, dude. If you find, I swear, like
that's probably
They're these and the multi-packs like we just looked at there. Believe me, they're holy grails. The Eternia playset is not just the only holy grail. Any of these 2-packs, multi-packs, the bonus packs, like a character coming with a vehicle or a beast. Like, man, those are all extreme. Those are nuclear hot commodities.
Yeah, well, same thing though. If this is of no interest to me, if I was big into collecting the vintage line and wanting to have everything, this wouldn't even really be on my radar, because there's no use for me to have that at all.
And I could see that, and it's really just down to the level of scarcity.
Yeah.
You know, like this particular 2-pack, visually it's not interesting for display, but because of how rare it is, that'd be the only thing really to say. You know, I've got one of the
Look what I
JCPenney
got.
exclusives, you know, and
So,
that's about it. So,
2 appearances. We have Montana and the Menace of the Evil Horde, and of course, Clash of Arms. So we're going to kind of see some of the visual appearances here.
it's just from one of the best mini comics ever done, and it's a short but fun, you know, little depiction of Whiplash and his mini comic glory.
Yeah.
Right there, taking on Grizzlor with his comrades Jitsu and Cobra Khan as they take on the Horde.
Yeah.
It's
And
one of the more menacing looks of Whiplash done by the legendary Larry Houston.
Yeah. So we had that. We saw a little bit more of Clash of Arms earlier. I can kind of go back to that for everyone. Take another glimpse.
Yeah, and a very, very powerful depiction. I remember definitely viewing him. It's like you're going up the levels of video game bosses, and like this guy's, you know, when you see him, like holy shit, like this is how I view Whiplash when I got him. It was based on this depiction. So I saw him as like, man, this is the top of the line ass kicker. Even though I was more drawn to Jitsu and Clawful, just the way he's depicted as the final boss in this you know, trilogy of fights for Fisto.
So in addition to that, we move to the Golden Books, where Whiplash has appearances in Secret of the Dragon's Egg, Magic Mirror, and Maze of Doom.
And I like his design. His design's a little different, but still there. And you know, I think he's very visually striking in Secret of the Dragon's Egg.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
it's
absolutely. A little slender, doesn't have the turkey neck thing going on.
No, he doesn't have the girth, but he is more of a slender reptilian look.
It's
still muscular,
not,
like he's still very threatening. Like you see him right there next to Skeletor. Like he's not, you know, lacking in size by any means.
Yeah, this more is like Lizard Man. Yeah.
But looking at the figures, and of course, you know, that right there, the magic mirrors, like this was, like I cannot stress, like when I got this at the Riverland Elementary Library, seeing this book with this epic opening of like, oh my God, look at all these characters from '84, along with the previous characters, all in this big battle royal. This is how you open a storm. Oh my God, it was just, I couldn't fucking believe it. Like, where's this been all my life?
Yeah.
You know, it was so epic to see Clawful and He-Man battling it out, and Fisto and Whiplash. You can almost see, maybe this is like, you know, it's reparations for Whiplash, you know, getting ready to do Fisto in and Clash of Arms, and Fisto's getting, you know, giving it back to him here. And just seeing Cobra Khan, Trapjaw, Whiplash, Clawful, Beastman all together in one big fight. And here is it's not great. Of course, no one's depicted well here.
It's so interesting. 3 different books and 3 different visual representations of it.
Yeah, and you know, I'm under the impression too that when these various artists are doing these books, they're given the toys to look at and work them into the story. And like, man, what happened?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Are you given? Or were you not given the toys at all? Were you just given like some old concept drawings? Here, make this work.
Yeah.
You know, it's I'm sure there were, you know, I would like to think, you know, given that most everything was following a style for all the characters that were coming out, like the variants for the year, like you're going to use your battle armor Skeletor and your battle armor He-Man and all kinds of artwork for right now. This is what we want you to use along with these characters. Follow these guidelines, and the next year it changes a little bit more and incorporate this character in this variant. And then how, you know, like King Randall right there looks okay. That's pretty close to what you expect for King Randall for the most part. It's kind of not full on filmation by any means, but close enough. And Marlene is just like, I don't know.
That's
very, very off. And then Whiplash just looks so.
Skeletor
of the evil warriors there, he's by far like, what happened here?
Yeah, well, I mean, one could argue Skeletor.
Well,
as well.
Skeletor's looks pretty fugly right there.
Well, check this out though. After we take our what the
God, yeah. There's a couple times where Tila looks really
that,
fucking ugly.
I mean,
Like Marlena looks better than Tila.
yeah, but not by much.
Not by much.
Wow, that's horrible.
That's just like, man, this guy did not know how to draw women very well.
So we move on from that. There are several issues of the UK comic, but this was just sort of highlighted here. So this is from issue 50, where Whiplash is colored blue and depicted as part of the Snake Men. So that's interesting.
That's something too, and I don't know. I'm sure our comrade James could maybe shed a little light on why so many of the characters were fitting the same color scheme as the figure counterpart in Filmation, but then one random character is colored completely different, given a different appendages or arm attachments, and part of the completely different faction. Like, how does that happen?
Well, we'll make sure to kind of get that point across, because James and I will more than likely be covering some more UK issues here.
Yeah,
in the near future to be released at a later date. So from all the literary, we move on to Filmation, of course, appearing in a handful of episodes to save Skeletor, The Ice Age Cometh, Trouble in Tralla, Betrayal of Stratos, The Shadow of Skeletor, Frady Cat, Hunt for He-Man, No Job Too Small, Here There, Skeletors Everywhere, Beauty and the Beast, and then making a non-speaking cameo appearance in The Toy Maker. But I really love the Filmation design of Whiplash.
I do too. I love it. He transitioned so well to this series. Like they took out the orange and just gave him blue color breaks with dark green and lime green, and with yellow eyes, and yeah, he just looks very, very formidable. Well, very well done.
It's how when we did our spotlight on Snout Spout, it's the same basic design is there, but just the simplistic nature that they did it with color wise and everything just works so well in Whiplash here. Certainly added to that list.
And John Irwin, well, for those who don't know, it was the voice of Whiplash amongst many other characters that we all know, and does a beautiful job of bringing life to Whiplash. Obviously, when he's written correctly.
Let's talk about that. So obviously, I think it's without a shadow of a doubt, and you and I unanimously agree that Whiplash's best appearance is in Betrayal of Stratos.
Oh, they're second to none.
Being the guardian of the
demon zone.
Yeah. So going past that, I do appreciate his appearance in Trouble in Tralla, just from the aspect.
I hate that episode.
Just in the aspect that he's wanting to learn magic to kind of impress Skeletor and work his way in up the ranks a little bit.
It just doesn't work for me. A character that looks like that wanting to learn magic. It's like, no.
Sure. But I'm saying that I can appreciate that about him, and just the aspect that he's wanting to, if he's adding magic to his arsenal that he already has, like, how unstoppable could he be? Just the mentality that he has, that he wants to try to improve himself. Yeah. I appreciated that aspect, but yeah, that episode itself, not that great.
It's pretty shitty.
I did think that Hunt for He-Man had potential story-wise of how just the general idea, He-Man's poisoned and we have to, so it kind of takes him out of it a little bit. I appreciate that aspect of it, but everything else around it, because there's a bit of, I don't know who says it to who, if it's Trapjaw to Whiplash.
No, Whiplash says the Trapjaw, which is like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's like asking him to dance, which I almost wanted. My intro was gonna be, when he's not protecting this, or he's not trying to learn magic, maybe he's dancing with Trapjaw. We're talking, and that's. I was like, no, let's not do that. But I think the basic story element of Hunt for He-Man's interesting, but just the way that it's written and the way that it plays out.
I mean,
And that
everything
kid
getting to that point too, from the fucking robots that are motorcycles but have a life of their own because they're
Yeah.
programmed skill. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and then that kid. Can't forget about that shitty kid.
Yeah, that dumbass kid, that
Drac,
and they live in the dark hemisphere near Snake Mountain, but there's
yeah.
it's just when the concept, and I don't remember who wrote the episode because it's a shitty episode and I don't give a fuck. Could that be retold into something better? Yeah.
Yeah, when I was watching it,
really would have to. I mean, this is when Skeletor is written is more comedic than ever. The evil warriors are written as just fucking buffoons, and there's I mean, yeah, you want to, and God, Cringer's written so obnoxious in it, like just the whining. I mean, it's. I don't know who gave Alan Oppenheimer. Like, we need you to make Cringer more whinier than he was before. Like, don't make him likable. Just make him like he's just constantly just one big pussy.
Well, aside from all of that, the portrayal.
But I will say, like, to save Skeletor, which is what this screenshot's from here. It's a solid depiction of Whiplash and the Ice Age cometh. And he opens the episode with the battle with He-Man trying to steal the ice ray, and that's a solid depiction. And Shadow Skeletor, short but still menacing nonetheless.
That was going to be what I was going to ask you. Aside from Betrayal of Stratos and Ice Age Cometh, what other episodes would you have recommended? Obviously, Ice Age Cometh just because of Icer, but To Save Skeletor is really good. I love the way it starts, and I love that shot of when Whiplash is walking into the palace, and the crowd there is looking at him, and they're starting to like move out of the way. I really loved how that was animated, and once again, like the way that story went, like, oh, this is very, very interesting. So those episodes you just mentioned were the ones that really stuck out to me. Everything else that I watched, because I didn't get around to watching No Job Too Small. Well, I watched James's commentary on it, so I guess technically I did watch it. But of the last three that I mentioned, Here, There, Skeletors Everywhere, Beauty and the Beast, and The Toy Maker, I didn't watch. But I checked out.
You're not missing anything on those.
I checked out everything else. Like, obviously,
did you go back and rewatch Shadow of Skeletor?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of these were revisits because I've seen Ice Age Cometh before. I've seen Island of Fear before. I think Hunt for He-Man and Frady Cat were two that I hadn't seen yet.
Which I know was Frady Cat was covered way back on Fans of Power, where we were going to do okay, how could we do this better? And it was just a big waste of having four awesome evil warriors in the same story. The Dragon Walker is featured, and it's just a waste of everything.
So was that prior to me being around, or was
you're around for that? Yeah. The premise was like, okay, this episode sucks. What could be done to make it better?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess I don't remember watching it all those years.
Well, there's a lot of those episodes we try and forget.
Yeah, but I mean, of these, there are some decent ones, and there's some that show promise. But obviously, of course, with season 2, you're not gonna.
And granted, a lot of some of these that we mentioned too are at the very beginning of season 2, like To Save Skeletor, Betrayal of Stratos, Shadow of Skeletor, Island of Fear. I mean, I don't mind it. Is it great? No. Is it bad? No. It's just kind of by the numbers.
I think the one thing for me that sticks out about Island of Fear is what's the signage say with the chumps in it?
Oh yeah. God, shit.
Oh, come on, man.
Oh my God.
You're the expert here.
I know, and I'm looking at that sign that pops up in the waterfall.
Yep, it pops up.
Hello, chumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, hello, chumps. Yeah, because Prince has it's hello, chumps. And,
so I like that about it, but once again with the title of Island of Fear, you kind of set the expectation in your own mind, and it just doesn't really follow.
Yeah, I had my idea for that was the island that Scareglow would be in charge of, the Island of Fear, which is like just this island with a haunted forest and various creatures and ghouls that inhabit
Yeah.
it that follow his command. That's this, when it's an island that's
We're gonna fuck up this dam and ruin everything. It's like, yeah, sure, I
yeah,
get that, but
it's again, it should have been named something else, because the Island of Fear, like, it's not really.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
there's so much fun to be had with a name like that, and when you get that, and for me, when I first saw it, which was on VHS, it's more about like, hey, Buzz Off's in this, Whiplash is in this, the Collector's in this. Oh my god, like it's more about like who's there, and then once the dust settles, and after a while you stop rewatching for the character placement, and it's like, okay, you know what, this episode's not great. It's not terrible, but it's like this could be so much more, and I think it's kind of, I mean, it's enjoy. Well, I don't, I can't even say I enjoy it at this point now too, because
You just put it on for background noise, or if it plays when you're watching, like if you got it on a playlist loop on YouTube,
yeah,
or something,
I
like,
don't,
yeah,
I
all
could
right,
put it
fine.
on and just like, because Buzz Off's in it, because I fucking love Buzz Off and Whiplash, and it's fun, the banter between Whiplash and Merman is fun,
Yeah.
And this is reminiscent of Frady Cat, when you've got Whiplash and Clawful pair off, and Whiplash and Merman and Cobra Khan pair
Mm-hmm.
off, and unfortunately in that episode, Whiplash's tail's just used to dust the tracks and to fool He-Man. It's like, what shitty dialogue and character writing this is. It's like you got these kick-ass evil warriors, and we're gonna lure He-Man by dusting the tracks, and they'll follow these tracks. I was like, this is so fucking dumb.
I mean,
Really,
if I'm going to recommend 2 appearances of Whiplash and Filmation for you to watch, it's Betrayal of Stratos and Ice Age Cometh for me.
yeah, or he's featured more prominently. Now he's got a strong role in To Save Skeletor
He
and
does.
the Shadow of Skeletor. Like that moment in the Shadow of Skeletor when he roars at He-Man, like before he wants to fight him. That was a good imposing moment for me as a child. Like, oh my god, like, he's told to take care of him, and just looks at He-Man and just roars at him, and it just goes right into action. It's short, but it's like that moment of character that says, like, I don't fear He-Man. I'm going to kick your ass.
Yeah.
Like that speaks more than having, a lengthy episode where he's in it and he's just a buffoon.
Yeah. So out of the 12 episodes, those would probably be the 4 that we recommend to you most.
By far, with Betrayal of Stratos being the top of the list.
We'll move on now to some of the artwork, the posters, etc. that we see. So here's
William George's depiction of him on the Battle Bones box art. Yeah, this is epic as fuck. I love this. And Whiplash looks like he has a whip in his hand.
Well, got to have the namesake, right?
Yeah. And, that kind of makes sense.
Unless this was some sort of instance where maybe originally this was supposed to be Beastman or something.
That's a good point. That is a very good point. And that probably is what it was.
Could have been. It's like, nah, we can't do that. Yeah, put another character in there.
Yeah. Put Whiplash in there. He comes out the same year.
No, not that one. The other one. There's bigger titties.
Yeah, the other guy. Yeah. Yeah, here's on the big William George character poster with Zodak running up. Like, even by this is 1984, and they're still using Zodak as a villain.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah. Like, he's already been depicted in Filmation as a good guy, as the Cosmic Enforcer, but
don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
No one to pay attention. They're all kind of small in here anyway. It'll be fine.
Yeah, kids are dumb. The Horde poster, or the one that depicts the 85 wave with Whiplash with Battle Bones and Merman and Jitsu are alongside him there.
And we've shown this multiple times already, but hey, good excuse to show it again, right?
It is. How do you ever get tired of looking at one of the most epic pieces of He-Man artwork that have ever been done, man?
Well, I guess next it'll be a character spotlight on Buzz Off or Fisto, so we can show it off again.
Yeah.
Character spotlight on Stridor. Just to show it off again.
And Whiplash looks very Filmation-esque, but bigger and more muscular. It's and then Clawful looks very toyetic, but looks. Well, I mean, yeah, it's and Buzz Off looks very Filmation-esque. So does Web Store.
I don't
But
have.
still very representing of the toy as well.
If I had the wall space, proper wall spacing, it's like, yeah, I didn't need to add this.
I mean, this could be argued as like the greatest. Like, I mean, Earl Norm did so many fucking ass kicking illustrations, but this would have to be in the top 3 by far, without argument. This is in my top 3.
So we
No,
go
maybe
from
top 2.
We go from this, fast forward about 17, 18 years, and now we get the 2000X figure.
Courtesy of the 4 Horsemen.
And we were talking, so he comes with this weapon at least. So I think this suits this design a lot.
I agree. And the Horsemen did a great job of redesigning him. I really did like the 2000X design of Whiplash.
And his size compared to
he had a lot of girth
to
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, in toy form and on the show. So I thought that was a great upgrade to the character.
I don't have a screen cap of him from the show, but we'll go ahead and we'll cut to a clip right now.
Oh, how the mighty are fallen.
One good hit, it's all over.
But yeah, I remember being really excited finding this figure because once again, we talked about the girth of him compared to a lot of the others in the line. I'm like, oh, this is going to look really badass together. So yeah, so I can't remember what store that I found him in, but I
want to say I thought it was Kmart.
It may have been. Kmart was surprisingly like a pretty decent source for finding a lot of the new characters that we didn't have yet.
It really was. I feel like Mechanic was found there, Whiplash was found there.
It's like an untapped source. Even then, people weren't going to Kmart much for
no, they weren't. And there were Kmart exclusives too with this line, like with the variants and the trading card. Like the He-Man that comes with the trading card, that was a Kmart exclusive. It's just a bullshit little trading card that was
you had to have it though.
Had to have it.
From that, we go to the classics, which comes with different
the 2000X head, which is a nice touch.
Yeah, it's it's kind of surprising, I guess, to a degree that we didn't get this design ported over to client. But then again, most of those didn't really,
unless they were original characters from 2000X, they really didn't incorporate over like the variations of the redesigns of certain characters.
Yeah, but this is a very great upgrade from the vintage figure to put it here.
Like he's still big, but not like a linebacker size, kind of like how the 2000X version is. It's just a beautiful upgrade of his scale. That's I mean, it's this and the vintage figure for me in terms of like the best designs. I mean, this gives you everything was so good about the vintage design.
Yeah,
I would say probably the classics version because it's just so fucking awesome. God.
Yeah, so
look at that. Look at that. Look at that head sculpt. That's just so fucking menacing. Now, right there, like Whiplash with the spear does look cool.
Yeah,
yeah. It wouldn't be my choice of weapon for him, no. But right there, like, okay, I don't know why it fits more there than with the vintage figure, but it just the spear looks a lot more threatening.
Well, I mean, you're gonna get that with the classics upgrade from vintage has its limitations, of course.
Yeah.
That we move on to the Origins figure, which doesn't.
Not bad. And to be fair, it's not a. It doesn't look this version of Whiplash that I'm looking at right now does not look like the traditional disproportionate figure that Origins seems to be putting out consistently with a either fucked up head or fucked up lower body or just a fucking ugly figure overall. Mm-hmm. This one looks pretty well proportioned, and I
mean, it could just be the pose of it all too. If it's just like in the packaging standing straight up, this could look entirely different. So
yeah,
But from this angle, it looks okay. And
Yeah,
then
not bad.
we get the cartoon collection Whiplash.
No, that's not good.
Maybe
the
feel
head
it.
sculpt just doesn't work.
Yeah, something is. Let's go back. Something is a little. Yeah, it's like it needs.
And it's the shitty head sculpt, much like the people who work on the Orange Line just can't seem to get any fucking head right.
It needs to have some more menace behind it. He doesn't look as menacing as he did.
No,
there.
that looks like a knockoff.
I appreciate that they tried to do that.
I don't, because like you guys have got everything at your disposal. You still fuck it up.
Well, you just wait, sir, because here is the new Eternia.
Jesus Christ.
So this armor does come off. I got another photo here that's kind of it has more traditional look of Whiplash that you know. But yeah, here's the extra shit. Hey, you got the axe that you're talking about. So they were listening to you, man.
Yeah, yeah. If only Mattel actually listened to reason about anything.
Yeah, so here it is without all that stuff.
God, what another shitty head sculpt and just a clunky looking figure. Like,
yeah,
is that from fucking Revelation?
It's under the Masterverse New Eternia part. Maybe that is.
God,
I'm not sure. Well, there's something about this back piece that just seems really
the back piece is excessively big. It doesn't blend with the back.
Because look at this. Look how
it's that's molded correctly in proportion to his that just looks like they looked at the Errol McCarthy artwork and just like, just make that into a figure.
I mean, if I have to give some appreciation, I do like the scales there.
Well, the scales are fine, you know, but the head and the back / tail piece just look fucking terrible. Just God. These people need to be strangled in front of their children, as George Carlin would say.
I kind of hate to end it on this note, but that's kind of where we are now in terms of once you're going through the figures at the end. That's where we're at so far with that.
And I feel like people today are like, I'm not gonna say I feel sorry for you. I just feel like, you should be buying the better figures instead of just buying the shit because, well, it's new and it's there. I got to get it.
Yeah. Well, we were
have fucking standards, people.
we were talking earlier. You were talking about mini comics being packaged in and how it had a central focus on the character that it was packaged with. So, Tyler, I have here a piece of art to share that just got finished up not too long ago, actually. And this comes from Kevin Sharp, who's it's amazing. So I'll let me do this. So it's here in this focus, and then I'll zoom in a little more. So we have the Pit of Peril, and obviously you have a story to go behind this a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't write a full story, but I had the synopsis in my mind because initially, Whiplash, making him, a focal point, like as a big introduction. But then I also thought too, Snake Mountain was not given any kind of real showcase in any of the mini comics, like in terms of depicting the toy itself, much like how the Fright Zone was not given anything. You're not seeing He-Man trying to infiltrate Snake Mountain and make it across the bridge and fight the snake, and then a trap door and falls in and all these things. And I just thought oh my God, it'd be so cool to have this pit, and that, but the story would be that King Bavo, who is featured in Shadow of Skeletor, is coming to the royal palace with his daughter to discuss a possible treaty with the people of the Bright Moon, a nice prequel, if you will, to that story. And Skeletor has found himself a new ally in Whiplash and is convinced if I lure He-Man here to Snake Mountain, if the perils of Snake Mountain won't take care of him, then my new ally Whiplash will. Mm-hmm. So the idea is all right, King Babo is visiting. He's got a hot head. He's hot-tempered. I'm going to kidnap his daughter and demand that the only way I'm going to release his daughter is by He-Man needs to come get him. And to lure He-Man to Snake Mountain and go through the perils of Snake Mountain and trying to find a way in. And, when he thinks he's found, Bavo's daughter, the trap door collapses down beneath them. they fall into this spiked pit filled with water from the blood falls, and there's this big drain pipe, down. And He-Man's dropped his sword, can't find it, and you just would start to see Whiplash like slowly emerge from the drain pipe.
Yeah, man.
I was inspired by like an alligator, because I look at Whiplash's tail and you think alligator.
Well, and in my mind, when you're saying that, I'm thinking something along the lines too of like Killer Croc.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
And that this is a character that would be residing in water, much like a croc alligator,
Mhm.
and would emerge from the water as a massive surprise to He-Man with the power sword coiled around his, up in his tail, like shocking, like I'm gonna kill both you guys. I'm gonna impale you on the spike. I mean, just like make it this very confined fight where you got very limited movement, and this guy is pretty much controlling the whole area. Someone you don't know who he is. You've got to protect this beautiful girl and get her to safety, and just be this clash inside this pit. And they go down through the drain pipe, down into the blood falls. Just this big clash of fighting, and he's trying to protect her and get her to safety. That was the synopsis of the story. I thought about starting around like, well, I know where I want to go with it, and then it's set up like why Skeletor wants to set up the war between the two moons. Obviously, I didn't point of destruction, but I just thought like let's bring him into this and set up like that the royal family is doing everything they can to get his daughter back, and Prince Adam's assuring, I know someone who can help. I know He-Man. Well, we will get your daughter back. Play up some of the things that were said and alluded to in the Shadow of Skeletor, and play up the fact that this guy's a hothead of a king. Why he's so ill-tempered and quick to I'm going to go into battle. I'm going to tear Snake Mountain apart. I don't care. He's got my daughter. And much like how he is in the Shadow of Skeletor, like he's very quick to believe that people of the Bright Moon were causing destruction there. Like I really wanted to play out that aspect with that character to set up why he is that way in that story. Because my idea is like I want to honor all the good things of He-Man, from Filmation to the mini comics to NYP to the live action movie. Take all these, what Scott Knight thought he was doing, but just did it really fucking bad.
No, I was gonna mention that's one of my favorite things about what you do when you're coming up with these ideas, even if they're not fully fleshed out and you have it written down like you've done on previous shows where you got all the dialogue set up and everything. Yeah. Just the fact that you're looking at this and the story that you want to tell blends all the stuff that came before it that you love. That that really shines through when you're doing that stuff. Even just saying like your basic layout that you had for this is far more superior than we shit on a lot, but just like most of the modern takes that we've gotten in this property of things that this is the shit that they I think want to try to do, but it just never comes across.
Well, I also feel like too they're not. I don't ever want to come along and pave a brand new path of like new characters and new this and new that. Like there's already so much established. It's a big fucking sandbox to play in,
right? And
get people today just feel like they got to come through and make their own sandbox with, and then they got lumps of cat shit in there too, and it's just it's like. Why are you doing this? There's so much already been established already, and that's why I look at this and I just drew inspiration from one image in a Conan king size annual, and that's where I got the idea for this.
Yeah, and you can really see that here. A lot of it kind of plays into too. It's He-Man having the girl behind him. Yeah. You see that a lot, but I really want to point out too that I love how the power sword is.
Yeah, Kevin did it's
like
phenomenal job.
Like your eyes kind of just that's what they gravitate towards first, I think, more than anything, because you just see the shine on the sword, and then everything else kind of opens up around it. So props to Kevin for making this come to life. Also, too, I'll blow some smoke. Props to you for just having these ideas that you want to be illustrated like this.
Yeah,
So.
once he colored this, like, dude, I said, you spoiled me now. Like, there's no way
You got to do it every time.
I gotta get in the next one. I've already paid for the inking and the coloring on the next mini comic cover, and I've already got a list. I'm trying to get I've already started paying for the one after that, and I'm trying to get that narrowed down to, you know, whether it's a nicer mini comic, a Too Bad one featuring Lizard Man, you know, Stridor, Orko, like giving Orko a mini comic that depicts him as like he's not just a court magician. We're really going to lay into the like the idea I have for that one, like plays off of one of my favorite episodes, but I'm like depicting Orko in a very serious manner, like an ass kicking manner of as a sorcerer. That's what I want to do with these things, and I'm just like that's what my money's going towards right now, man. Is just I was so fucking happy with this, and I love the way Kevin draws women. So and again, it's inspired by looking at the Savage Swords of Conan covers. Conan saving a beautiful girl in every fucking cover. I'm like, I want to see He-Man doing that. Whether He-Man's teaming up with Fisto or Buzz Off, they need to be saving a hot girl from the Horde, the Snake Men, or the Evil Warriors, or some kind of danger.
But do you think? Are you going to change that up a little more to it's like, you know what? Maybe I won't have a beautiful woman.
I have ideas that are not good. That,
okay.
Yeah. Yes. Like
okay.
the Orko idea. There's no need for a woman there. Yeah. I have a couple of others too. Like the Strider one has no need for a woman there.
Okay.
It's just I like seeing He-Man saving beautiful women. You know, it's just cool when I see Conan doing it. I've always loved seeing alpha heroes saving beautiful women. But not every idea is going to require the use, even though a lot of times, like, I got to work in a really hot girl in this, you know?
Yeah. If you guys are enjoying these, I don't want to put how's the saying go? I don't want to put the cart before the horse or whatever. We're toying around with some ideas. I'm not gonna give away too much, but we're toying around with some stuff to where maybe these things could be a possibility for you guys to also be able to own and display and have on your walls all of these ideas.
Yeah, since people today don't seem to want to put out quality merchandise with kick-ass art and fun ideas, and
yeah, it's and I can't say it's a guarantee. It's just something that is ideas.
Yeah, something we've kind of tossed around a bit, but you know we
shall see.
Yeah, we're not going to put too much stock into it until we feel like we can, you know.
Yeah.
Feel like we can do it, and there's a demand for it.
Yeah, I honestly, the next time this would probably ever get mentioned again, it's like, yeah, this is a for sure thing. But once again, props to Kevin for this. Props to you for formulating the ideas. So that was Whiplash. Man, was there anything that you think that we missed that we should discuss before we head to commercial?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered all the pros and cons that the character has been through.
I think if I missed
I just love fucking looking at that.
I think if I missed a figure, Tom will let me know again, or someone will let me know if I. But
it'll probably be some shitty figure, you know, and you know, which is like, oh god, yeah, I forgot about that one.
Well, I mean, you know, there was the was it the Mega Constructs stuff, like the little Lego things. Like he's in that, but that's not really worth showing off.
Not really. Yeah, I can't think of, you know, I mean, we covered all his mini comic appearances, and
there's probably a couple of things like here's this in the coloring book, or here's that, or here's that.
So, well, but I mean in terms of like canon and media, you know, I feel like, you know, he's gonna be featured in some of the 84, 85 coloring books just because they're featuring characters around that time frame. But you know, in terms of like stories, like he was only using a couple of the Golden Book stories, and even the hardcover Golden Book stories, I don't think he was using any of those.
Yeah, well, as far as I know, it was just those three that were listed that I saw on there.
Because I know on Battleground Blocks, some of the Golden Books are like the hardcover books, like the big tall books that Golden Books put out, like the River of Ruin, I Have the Power, Tila's Secret. Like some of those feature, you know, a lot of the characters that are like River of Ruin features, you know, Spike Orr, Mossman, and Web Store in that. But when you look at the, you know, the section of Web Store, like that book is not mentioned. Like it's He's in it, teaming up with Spikor in that book, and it's just one of those things. Like, you can't get everything in there, but those tall golden books that were separate stories. Some are right, like the Teeth of Secret and River Ruin, actually quite good from what I remember. Some of the others were a little, as Jim Cornette would say, a little kabuki-ish. Kind of clunky.
Yeah, some of those we'll have to cover in the near future. But he mentioned Battle Ram blog. That's where I pulled most of those images. Link is down below. Check out all the other links that we have.
Give Adam some more attention. He's put a lot of work into that website, which he's working on He-Man.org. But the Battle Ram blog is still something I like to go back and just look at for fun, for inspiration, for ideas and things like that too. And he does some great write-ups on everything. He's got a lot of people contributing to the site over the years of providing images for various things. So it's the site's worth your time. Absolutely.
And it's great to have all of this stuff preserved and out there so we can use it to also try to get it out there into the world. But that was Whiplash. Let's go ahead, take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back right after this.
Match at my house. I'll bring my guys. You have yours. I've got Junkyard Dog.
It's World Wrestling Federation Superstars.
I've got Brutus Beefcake. Here's George the Animal Steel. I've got Great Hammer Valentine. Ricky the Dragon Steel.
Yeah, they're so real.
And Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Can you tell the difference? Wrestling Superstars, they're for real. Each sold separately from LJN.
Yeah! From the far reaches of the universe to Radio City Music Hall, the magic and fantasy come to life in the ultimate family adventure. The Masters of the Universe Power Tour. See He-Man and She-Ra. Meet the forces of Skeletor and Hordak. Will Grim prevail? See the exciting jet skate competition. See the spectacular Eternian Circus theatrical celebration. Opening live at Radio City Music Hall February 12th. The Masters of the Universe.
I am the greatest swordsman that ever lived.
Rebel.
Uh-oh.
Renegade.
I trust him completely.
The next great hero. After them! The next great adventure. From George Lucas and Ron Howard. Willow.
It'd be fun.
Rated PG.
And we're back. We're going to make this really short and sweet because unfortunately had some technical difficulties in between our break that we had to set another thing up, but then I forgot to hit record. So you missed out on a lot of good GoBot discussion. We missed out on a little bit of the feedback that we got. Luckily, it wasn't a plethora of things this go around, so not missing too much there. But we talked some GoBots, and real quickly, I'll say I am proud to say GoBots, both toy form, cartoon form, I prefer over Transformers.
Yeah, you own that statement, man. Don't you dare back down off that.
The toys, sturdier, cheaper at the time. The cartoon is just amazing, like absolutely amazing. Every episode, for even if it gets really absurd, there's one where Psykill wants to abduct a blind boy because he can see into the future. And on paper, you're like, I don't know about this, but when you watch it in execution, you just totally buy into it. So I love it. I've bought a few GoBots, Coptor being one of the main 6. I haven't procured everyone else yet, but Scorp, Pathfinder, Vamp, there we go. Or just a few that are on the way. I bought a poster, the VHS Challenge of the GoBots VHS poster. All that stuff is in the mail on the way here. I plan probably to get magazines, coloring books, lunch boxes. I might try to do it all. We shall see. But with that, we'll go ahead. We'll wrap this up because we had like a good, that was a good probably 15, 20 minutes that we had there. A discussion that was just lost forever.
Yeah.
But we will always remember it, so you don't have to. But with that being said, I hope everyone enjoyed us talking about Whiplash. We'll talk some more GoBots on the next one. I'll go more in depth again when I know for sure that we are recording once again. But until later, let the power return.
Pretty fucking great. You saw a man on the street whose next con. That's right. Well, I am over fucking whelmed. What do you want for that? A Junior G-Man badge? Now, she got a great ass.
Are you serious? Again? Again with heat, huh?
Why not, dude? Why not?
I guess at this point, since I wasn't recording that entire time, I was like, yeah, let's make it short and sweet. Oh man.
Yeah, I didn't have a quote planned in advance, and I'm like,
yeah, I
like that quote from Heat.
Yeah,
too.
I think it kind of all went out of your mind once I looked up, because I was about to give and I looked at it, I was like, oh, we haven't been recording these last like few minutes.
Well, I got to scramble and get something together here too.
Yeah. Go with the old standby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Tyler, you enjoy revisiting some more Bonds because you've been falling in love with the Daniel Craig Bond movies, which how can you not?
Oh God, yeah. I'm really just over the moon for those movies, man. All 5 of them.
Yeah. And real quickly, Tyler watched No Time to Die. I haven't yet, but he absolutely loved it. Yeah. Cried at the end.
I did.
Yeah. So,
yeah. And it wasn't just like a tear. Like, it was like, oh man.
He was a blubbering mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see if I'm the same way when I watch it, because I am very much a crier in movies. So we'll see if that hits me the same way that it hit you. But we're going to get out of here. And thank you for watching.
Thanks for your time.
What a fitting end to your life's pursuits. You're about to become a permanent addition to this archaeological find. Who knows? In 1,000 years, even you may be worth something.
Son of a bitch.